Hi there, and welcome to Enterprise AI Defenders, a show that highlights how enterprise security leaders are using innovative technologies to stop the most sophisticated cyber attacks. In each episode, Fortune 500 CISOs share how AI has changed the threat landscape, real-world examples of modern attacks, and the role AI will play in the future of cybersecurity. I'm Evan Reiser, the founder and CEO of Abnormal AI.
And I'm Mike Britton, the CIO of Abnormal AI. Today on the show, we're bringing you a conversation with Sue Lapierre, Head of IT Governance and Information Security Officer at Prologis. Prologis is a Fortune 500 leader in global real estate logistics. They manage more than 1.3 billion square feet of industrial real estate across 20 countries, helping power over $3 trillion in global trade every year. There are three interesting things that stood out to me in our conversation with Sue. First, Prologis made AI safe before they made it scale. They blocked external tools, launched a single internal GPT, and sparked company-wide momentum with over 900 use cases. Second, when vendors show up with AI, Sue's team gets surgical. They vet where the model runs, what data it touches, and who controls it. If it doesn't meet the bar, it doesn't make it through the door. And finally, to test deepfake resilience, Sue hired a red team to impersonate her CTO in live calls. These drills exposed real risks, but also showed how training and awareness can shut fake actors down fast.
Well, Sue, thank you so much for joining us today. Mike and I are really looking forward to having you on the show. Maybe just for a bit of background, can you give our audience some context about kind of what you do today and maybe how you got there?
I am Sue Lapierre. I'm the CISO at Prologis. I've been with the company for 11 years. It'll be 11 years in September. And I'm responsible for information security as well as IT governance, risk and compliance, and IT vendor management. I did not actually study at university for information systems or security or anything like that. I actually got a liberal arts degree and ended up going into financial services. And I worked in back offices, a variety of different departments, including corporate training and things like that. So I got to know the business and how companies work, especially financial companies. And so on my journey, I ended up getting into business continuity and disaster recovery. And I had to come up with all kinds of bad things that could happen to an organization, right? It's all about business resilience. And as I was creating different scenarios and tabletops and all of that, one of the situations that could go bad is any kind of information security or a breach or fraud or any kind of a cyber attack. And so I just started learning a little bit more and more about that. And that was kind of my foray from the business side over into the technology side. So I definitely didn't come up on the technology route.
Cybersecurity is a really hard job, right? There's lots of easier jobs out there where criminals aren't trying to mess their business. You'll get waking up in the middle of the night. What kind of inspires you? What motivates you, right? Why do the hard job, right? Why not? There's easier stuff. You've been a great professional for a long time. What kind of keeps you motivated today?
Every single day is different. Every day. And so if I had to have a job where I was doing the exact same thing every single day, I would be bored silly. And I really enjoy working with our business. I enjoy working with the technology group, and that I've got that protection gene in me, to make sure that everyone is safe. And so that's one of the things that I wanted to continue. It's the same thing with business continuity. Making sure everyone is safe. Same thing with cyber as well.
So you've been at Prologis for quite some time, which is definitely admirable. I'm sure you have lots of interesting context into various facets of your business. But to help frame our conversation with our audience, maybe you can give us some more insight into what exactly Prologis does, and maybe some of the breadth of the company's operations.
It's pretty exciting, actually. We actually enable the modern economy. We have 1.3 billion square feet of industrial real estate in 20 countries. We have 6,500 customers. We also have data center energy and mobility businesses included in all of that too. So it is really fascinating to learn that I think it's $3.2 trillion worth of goods flow through our facilities every year. It's just mind-boggling to me. So I'm very proud to be here at Prologis.
What are some like maybe unique kind of threat vectors or kind of maybe kind of cyber considerations, right, that are unique to your business that maybe the average kind of listener wouldn't quite fully appreciate? Right? I have to imagine there's some sophisticated things you guys have to like think about and consider that are kind of beyond the conventional responsibility scope of the average cybersecurity team.
So I would say that in security right now, the big thing is zero trust. Everyone's on a zero trust journey, and we of course have been for a couple of years. But I think we have to also think about zero trust not only on the technical side but on the human side. So we have to also raise the awareness with our employees that zero trust is not just technical; it's a interpersonal kind of thing, and that whole don't trust anyone. I hate to say that because I'm a really positive person, but I have to be, training and creating awareness about, our employees. Hey, don't trust anyone.
I recently met with Sinish Keshav, who you obviously know is your CTO, but our audience may not know that. One thing that I found really interesting was he talked about having this this 95% wide company-wide adoption of Prologis internal GPT, which is really impressive. I meet with a lot of CIOs. I think most are still trying to figure out how to get something out, let alone get to the 90s adoption. Do you mind sharing a little bit about kind of like how those AI tools are being deployed, kind of what success you've had, and maybe would be interesting for this audience is, how do you think about kind of securing those? Because you guys are quite ahead of some of your peers there.
So we went all in, as Sinish already talked about. And so our AI team has done a tremendous job of actually doing some video shorts to help people. And we, put it on our, internal Viva Engage. And so that you can just small snippets of this is how you do this. And hey, if you want to know how to do this, this is how you do it. And they periodically send out a new one. It feels like almost every week. And it's really gotten a lot of engagement, a lot of enthusiasm. People are really wanting to learn how to do it because, of course, not everybody wants to do, a rote task all the time, right? And if you can automate that, why not? You can save time, and then you can spend your time on things that are more interesting, things that you want to be doing, and things that will give more value. So we and also it was a top-down initiative. Our senior management also they're all in. We've got, our research team is using it, to the fullest. And so it is, it's pretty exciting, and people are sharing. And that's why we've got, we have, our employees have created 900 plus GPTs that for different use cases, and they're also sharing that. We do have an AI committee that looks at these, and so that's why we have 14 enterprise-wide GPTs that can be shared across the enterprise. So it's very exciting.
I'm curious because we have that same top-down approach here from an AI transformation perspective, but was there like an aha moment where it just kind of clicked with the general population of employees at Prologis where, it's always this something scary, something new, and all of a sudden people really embraced it? Was there any defining moment there, or did it just people start seeing the use cases and benefit of it?
At the very beginning, from a security standpoint, we locked down all AI except our internal AI, Prologis GPT. And that helped to focus people into one vector. And then we had people sharing with others. And what's also really wonderful, and I have to say that our head of AI gave me this wonderful tip about if you don't know what to do or how to do it next, ask your AI. Yeah, ask Prologis GPT. And guess what? It's going to tell you exactly what to do. It's like, oh, Yeah, of course. Right. And so, so when that message gets out, people become less afraid. Of course, there's always that trepidation, I guess, at the very beginning. So a year ago, people were like, well, can I ask this? Who's going to see it? Who's not going to see it? What's, those kinds of things. And knowing that, that our data is not being used outside of our instance really gives you a little bit more of a comfort level so that people were using it more and more.
How do you kind of balance and weigh the risk and security of, transformation and additional use cases with also protecting sensitive data and protecting the organization?
Well, and that's the thing is that, from a governance standpoint, you do have to, we put together a AI policy to say, what you should be using this for, what you shouldn't be using this for, being very careful about newly generated data and what that can be used for and not. So we did that at the very beginning. We had that policy out when we were deploying it. And however, we still, things change. And so we have to continue looking and seeing, making sure that what we're generating, is it still in alignment with, the other privacy policies around for the 20 countries that we're in as well.
How do you kind of get appropriate security around some of these AI tools and AI agents, right? And what I think all three of us have seen is that the productivity gains are like off the charts, right? There's so many cool things. I remember when Sanish was on my other podcast, he talked about automated site selection, self-optimizing logistics, universal visibility. Like there's a great kind of vision and dream there for, I think, what's possible. I think other companies, and I've heard other CIOs, CTOs talk about this. I think one of the challenges across the CISOs is we can all see, the wave of, or the big needs and the big appetite for all these AI agents everywhere. As the productivity and kind of efficacy and efficiency wins increase, so can the risk appetite of the business. So, what's your advice maybe to other CISOs who are thinking about how to balance there, right? Like where is it kind of appropriate to take risks, and where do you need to kind of slow down? And I think one unique thing about you, Sue, is you guys have done a lot of this transformation ahead of like the tools being available, right? There's not the one-click AI agent security wizard, right, that you can buy from the next great startup. So like, how do you guys kind of balance that risk, and how are what do you think is really needed for maybe some of your peers to help them accelerate through that transformation in the future?
I'm glad you brought that up, because you talked about tools, right? And so that's actually where we're focusing our energy on right now, is that that all lots of different products and services that are coming in are saying every one of them has an AI. Oh, we have AI. But you have to dig in deeper on, if you're bringing in a tool or some kind of service that says, and actually they don't even have to say AI, but you have to be looking to see if there is AI in those tools and how it's being used, how your data is being used, where's the data ownership of it. Before you even do a POC or sign a contract or anything like that, you need to understand how that tool is using AI and what the impact to your organization is. So that's really, that's a big worry for me right now, because it, sometimes, you've got different business departments that are, hey, this is a shiny object. We love this. This is going to be great. This is going to change our lives. And it's got AI. So you have to bring it in and say, let's look through this and let's make sure that it works within our organization. We know where the data ownership is, or it's not going to work. And you know what? We reject this. And sometimes we have to do that.
What's your advice about how do you kind of tell like what's real and what's BS, right? How do you kind of separate out the real impact from the marketing nonsense, right? Is there any kind of, like key questions, or like, what would be your advice to some of your peers out there?
Ask the right people the right questions. So, and when I say that is nothing against products or companies that offer products or anything, but the salesperson is not necessarily the person you want to believe. You want to actually get to the technical person and ask them about it so that you can and bring in, and if you're not technically savvy as a CISO, I'm sure you have lots of individuals that are smart and very, very technical. Bring them in, have them ask those questions about how is this being used? How is it connecting? What data is it using? What data is it taking? How are you using our data? Are you training your particular AI model and all of those kinds of things? You have to get down to the meat of actually what's happening. But I also have to say on the flip side that for me, I'm looking for AI security products to identify AI. Does that make sense? So the bad actors are using AI, right? So, and as our humans on our and anyone's SOC, we have very lean teams, right? That we can't go up against AI bad actors and or AI that bad actors are using. So we need to actually find those new security products that are using AI to detect AI. And that's where we're going to make a little bit of a foray into it's maybe stopping or at least slowing them down. But so that's actually one of the areas that I'm looking at right now, is to try to find AI products to identify AI. But I say that also with the caveat that doesn't mean that you have to give up on all of your cyber hygiene, because the bad actors are going after those vulnerabilities that have always been around. It's just that they're doing it faster. So you still have to do that foundational cyber hygiene, as well as looking forward and finding that AI.
But you're calling out like some real problems, right? You have non-criminals, which can now be criminals due to AI, right? Support. You have AI increasing the like volume and rate and scale of attacks. And you have some of these attacks that are like AI automated in different ways, where they're happening at machine speed. They're hard for us to like defend against. I think again, you guys have seen a lot of very good positive usage of your team using AI. What about on the threat landscape, right? How are criminals adopting these technologies? And like, what do you kind of, worry about as the average criminal starts incorporating some of these generative AI tools into their arsenal?
I go back to deepfakes again, right? I mean, that's kind of the thing that gets a lot of the news headlines, right? And I think there was one earlier this year for the financial director that got duped into because it was a Zoom call. I think there's been a couple of those actually, and there have been big money ones. But the problem on that, I mean, that made the news, but there's a lot of other things that are not making the news. And those are the ones that I'm worrying about, is what is it that out there that I don't know about, that I haven't seen yet. And so I have to put my business continuity hat on and go, okay, what all could happen to us? What are all the bad things, so that we can try to think ahead and figure out where could they go next? What steps might they take? And right now, I hate to say it, but social engineering is an easy target right now. Again, those phishing emails are quick, they're easy. It's a click of the button, and you send it out, millions of them. And if you get one hit, one person that falls for it, that can take down an organization. And unfortunately, we've seen that with in the news, as well as like our vendors and suppliers. Also, some of our smaller ones are also getting targeted, and on little things like invoices and fraud and things like that. It's all social engineering. It goes back to that, and that's where I really want to focus our attention, and making sure that people understand and they don't trust anyone.
I'd love to understand exactly how you're evaluating these new threats and these new risks. And, it always comes down to people, process, and technology. So I'm assuming, there's some processes that need to change. There's obviously new technology that needs to come in to solve the problems. And honestly, awareness, and you mentioned deepfakes, but probably rethinking how we do awareness and frequency and timing and content. Kind of how are you picturing, these areas from your vantage point and from what you're seeing?
So what we chose to do, we're 100% cloud, right? And so when we do our pen tests every year, we have to think about what we want our third party to target for us, because we don't have, that perimeter anymore of a traditional organization. And so what we chose to do earlier this year, was actually hire a third party that goes out and created deepfakes and targeted a variety of different individuals within the organization. They went after our help desk. They went after our senior manager. They went after admin and other individuals also, different departments and different things. And we wanted to do that to really test ourselves to see, do we have the security tools and defense in depth in place so that if somebody actually did fall for an impersonation or a deepfake, would they fall all the way, or do we have additional defenses, different measures in place that would stop it at some point in the process? And so that was quite eye-opening. It was really interesting. This organization helped us do, different deepfakes. And one of them, I can say, our one senior leader actually got the phone call, and it was actually a impersonation, a deepfake of Sinish. And they went on. You could tell that, because I have the recording, right? And you could tell that the senior leader was like, wait a second, this doesn't sound it. And at one point, he made a decision. Okay, wait a second, I don't believe this. And so he took the perfect step, and that was, he said, "When was the last time we saw each other?" And of course, the deepfake wasn't able to answer that. And he, immediately was like, "This is a fake," hanging up and all of that. And so the more that we can do those kinds of things, and then he's doing a testimonial for us in October Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and that share those stories. And this is what happened to me. And these are really good tips of what to do if you get into this situation. So I think that the more that we can share and talk to each other, the better.
The threat landscape is changing. The IT architecture is changing. The security architecture is going to change. When we think about kind of like the internal organization operations of like a security team, how do you think those evolve in the kind of age of AI, right? Do you imagine, new roles, new teams, right? Are there new tools that we're going to need in 3 years that we can't even imagine today? Like, what's your kind of like your vision of like the future of like how AI kind of affects the organization operations of a security team, a couple years down the road?
Well, I think too that some folks in the news are scared that AI is going to take my job or something to that effect. You know what? It might take a piece of your job. Again, talking about those rote tasks, but that I don't think that the humans will be out of it. That you will always need a human, especially on the security side. Sometimes there's such nuances when you're doing investigating and you're doing threat hunting that that you can be utilizing AI to help you, but you still have to be the one to say, does this make sense? Or what am I missing on this? And be able to kind of put some pieces together. So what we've been doing here at Prologis is looking to see about, when we have a new position coming into, or a new position, backfilling a position or something like that, we have to look at it and say, okay, of this position, is there a piece that could be AI? And if there is, That's great. Let's bring in someone that has that experience so that they can get that going, and then they can do even more things. So we're looking at it as we're embracing AI and saying, okay, we can use it for this, but there's so much more that we can do by not having to do some of those other tasks. So we really are not going down the road of it's going to take all our jobs, because it's not.
So at the end of the show, we like to do a quick lightning round. And this is where we ask like impossibly difficult questions are impossibly difficult to answer in like the one tweet format, but looking for like the one tweet format. And we'll be kind to you since you've been such a great guest so far and only ask you maybe like 4 or so instead of 1,000. But Mike, do you maybe want to kick it off for us?
Sure. So Sue, what's the one piece of advice you would give a brand new CISO stepping into their very first job? Maybe something they would overestimate, underestimate?
Building relationships with your business. And I'm going to add on to that. And this one goes, the second piece is for anyone. It could be a new person or a CISO, either one, is be curious. And when I say be curious, I'm not just saying ask questions. I'm saying be curious to try to understand and keep on being curious. That's really, really important. Actually, if you're not curious, you can't be in a security role. It's just the way it is.
So you're obviously like very up to date with kind of latest technologies and trends. What's your advice for the best ways for CISOs to kind of stay up to date on the latest technologies?
A variety of different ways. Don't just choose one way. You need to be looking at what is out there, what's happening in the security product market. Talk to your fellow CISOs and also your trusted technology partners. So that could be VAR, value added reseller, or it could be a product that you've been using for years that you just say, hey, what are you seeing? What are you seeing some of your other customers doing? And I would say listen to podcasts and also and get some threat intelligence to you on, throughout the day. I mean, not a huge amount, but at least once a day, you should be going through and seeing what's happening.
So on a more personal note, what's a book that you've read that's had a big impact on you and why?
There's a book called Turn the Ship Around. I think it's Turn the Ship Around by David Marquette, I believe. And he was a nuclear submarine commander. And he was given the post to take the worst performing submarine and make it the best. And he did. And how he did it was that he kind of bucked the system. And in the Navy, it was traditionally like a leader follower. And, whatever the leader said, the followers did. And he just threw that out the window and he's like, okay, no, we're going to do a leader model. And that is really great, especially in security, because you can't have the leader and then the follower. This is what you need to do, because you need to be, if there is a breach happening, something going on, you need to have trust in your team to be able to make decisions when needed, and be comfortable and competent to be able to make the correct decisions. And so it's a leader model. And I just really love that book.
What do you think will be true about the future of AI and security that most people would consider science fiction today?
A couple of things. I would say it's on both sides, that the autonomous AI security person that can actually, do that review, identify that, yes, this is a threat, and then be able to take care of it and all of that. I think that will happen. It's definitely. But on the flip side, the autonomous bad actor also is going to be there too. And it can just be a one click and it goes. And, the bad actors don't have to do anything. And unfortunately, I think both are real and are coming. So, which is good and bad at the same time. So not sure. I like to be optimistic, but that one's optimistic and pessimistic on the side of it.
Sue, really appreciate you joining us today. Mike and I have been looking at this episode for a while, and appreciate you sharing your wisdom and experience with the world.
Thank you both, Evan and Mike. Appreciate it.
That was Sue Lapierre, Head of IT Governance and Information Security Officer at Prologis. I'm Mike Britton, the CIO of Abnormal AI.
And I'm Evan Reiser, the founder and CEO of Abnormal AI. Thanks for listening to Enterprise AI Defenders. Please be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Learn more about how AI is transforming cybersecurity at enterprisesoftware.blog. This show is produced by Josh Meir. See you next time.